The weather was colder than usual for September as I climbed into the attic, carrying boxes and cleaning supplies. After 15 years of marriage, Brian told me he wanted a divorce. Now I was determined to sort through our things before he could twist the story in his favor. My name is Martha Walker, and until 3 days ago, I thought I knew my husband. We met in college. He was the popular business student, and I was the quiet computer science major. Somehow, he noticed me, at least. That's how he always told it. I pulled a box labeled Old Electronics toward me. Inside was a mess of cables, chargers, and outdated gadgets. At the bottom, I found Brian's old laptop from his first job. You can throw all that away. His voice startled me. He stood at the attic stairs, watching me with a cold expression. None of it works anymore, he added. I held the laptop tighter. I'll check it myself, thanks. He shrugged, the same dismissive gesture he'd been using a lot lately. Suit yourself, just be done by the weekend. I want this over with. Of course he did. He was already spreading his version of our breakup, claiming I had grown distant, failed to support his career, changed. People were taking his side without question. Once he left, I examined the laptop. It was old, probably dead, but something told me to try. I plugged it in and pressed the power button. Nothing. I was about to give up when I remembered something from my college hardware classes. Sometimes, even if a laptop won't turn on, you can still access its hard drive. I carefully removed the drive and connected it to my external reader. At first, nothing happened. Then, my screen lit up with folders. Most were empty or damaged, but one stood out, BT 208. Inside was a single video file, deleted, but not fully erased. My hands shook as I recovered it. It took an hour, but then it played. The date was October 15, 2008, 2 months after Brian started working at Palmer Financial. The video was blurry, but the audio was clear. Just sign here, Mr. Reynolds, Brian's voice said. Everything's taken care of. An elderly man looked uncertain. But my daughter said, she doesn't understand finance like I do, Brian interrupted. Trust me, this is the best option for your retirement. Just sign here. And here. I felt sick. I remembered Mr. Reynolds. He was one of Brian's first clients, a widower with a big retirement fund. 6 months later, he lost everything. Brian had blamed the market. But the video wasn't over. After Mr. Reynolds left, Brian turned to someone off camera and grinned. Old man didn't even read the papers, he laughed. By the time they figure it out, the money will be long gone. You sure about this? Another voice asked. Who's going to find out? Brian scoffed. The trades are buried under shell companies. Besides, who believe him over me? I'm the golden boy here. I stopped the video, my heart pounding. This wasn't just shady, it was illegal. And if this was from 2008, how many more were there? I searched the hard drive. Most files were too damaged to open, but I found traces, emails, spreadsheets, more videos. Brian hadn't just scammed Mr. Reynolds. There were dozens of victims. All these years, while people admired him, he had been stealing their money, hiding behind fake companies. No wonder he wanted the laptop gone. My phone buzzed. A message from Gloria, my best friend since college. Or at least she was. Until yesterday, when she told me she needed time to process Brian's side of the story. Her text read, How could you do this to him? He gave you everything, and you just checked out of the marriage. He's heartbroken. I stared at the message, anger rising. Brian had always been good at making people believe whatever he wanted. He had fooled our friends, his clients, even me, for years. But this time, I had proof. My hands steady. I copied everything from the hard drive. Videos, files, all of it. Then I opened my laptop and started tracking the digital trail. Because after 15 years with Brian, I knew one thing for sure. Men like can never tell just one lie. That video from 2008, it was just the start. I had to find everything. I worked all night, my fingers flying over the keyboard, digging deeper into his records. The computer skills he used to laugh at, calling them cute and nerdy, were now my greatest weapon. By morning, the truth was clear. The scams hadn't stopped in 2008. They had only grown bigger. Brian had built his entire career on fraud, using each success to reach even wealthier clients. He had covered his tracks well. But in the digital world, nothing is ever truly erased. I was cross-checking bank records when I heard footsteps on the attic stairs. Still at it. Brian leaned against the doorframe, watching me. You know, Martha, this would be easier if you just accept it's over. Sign the papers, take the settlement, and we can both move on. I looked up at him, really seeing him for the first time. The charming smile. The confident stance. All of it an act. Had I ever known the real Brian? I need more time, I said carefully, to process everything. His smile faded slightly. There's nothing to process. We're done. Unless. His voice hardened. You're planning to make this difficult. I thought about the files on my encrypted drive. About the people he had ruined while pretending to be a good man. No, I said quietly. No trouble. Just a few more days. He studied me for a moment, then nodded. Fine, 3 days. Then I want those papers signed. After he left, I picked up my phone and called the one person who could help me make sense of everything. Mike, it's Martha Walker. I know it's been years, but I need your help. It's about Brian. Mike Chen had been my study partner in college. Now he worked as a forensic accountant specializing in financial fraud. If anyone could uncover the full extent of Brian's crimes, it was him. Send me what you have, he said after I explained. And Martha, be careful. Men like Brian, when they realize they're about to lose everything, they can be dangerous. I watched through the attic window as Brian drove off in his expensive car, paid for with money stolen from people who trusted him. I know, I said, but he's not the only one who can play the long game. I had 3 days before he expected those divorce papers signed. 3 days to unravel 15 years of lies. Game on, Brian. The next morning, I sat in Mike's downtown office, watching his reaction as he reviewed my findings. The sun was barely up, but I hadn't slept. Every hour uncovered something new, more lies, more stolen money. Mike shook his head, scrolling through the files. Martha, do you realize what you found? The video was just the beginning. These transactions, the way he moved money, it wasn't just fraud. It was millions in fraud. I gripped my coffee cup. I know. And that's only what I've found so far. There has to be more. There is. Mike turned his screen toward me. Look at these patterns. The money doesn't just vanish, it moves through fake companies, then ends up in offshore accounts. Very sophisticated. Very illegal. Can we trace it? He nodded. With time, yes. But Martha? He hesitated, his face serious. This isn't just about your divorce anymore. This is major financial crime. People have lost everything. I know, I said quietly. That's why I came to you. What do we do next? Mike leaned back, thinking. First, we protect everything you found. I'll bring in experts who handle cases like this. But most importantly, Brian can't know you found any of this. I thought about Brian's cold stare in the attic. He won't, I said. I've gotten good at playing my part. For the next 48 hours, I lived a double life. By day, I was the quiet ex-wife, sorting through belongings, ignoring Brian's distant stares. By night, I worked with Mike and his team, untangling Brian's web of lies. The truth was worse than I imagined. Over 15 years, Brian had stolen more than $12 million, always from those least able to fight back. Elderly retirees, widowed spouses, people who trusted his charm and spotless reputation. He's good, one of Mike's colleagues admitted. The way he hides it, mixing fake investments with real ones, it's nearly impossible to track. If you hadn't found that video, no one would have caught him. But I had found it. And now there was no turning back. The morning of the 3rd day, the day I was supposed to sign the divorce papers, I walked into the kitchen and found Brian waiting. A stack of documents sat in front of him. Time's up, he said smoothly, sliding the papers toward me. Let's get this done. I sat across from him, studying his face. The man I thought I knew. The man who once brought me coffee during late-night study sessions. The man who swore he'd love me forever. Before I sign, I said slowly, I want to talk about the settlement. Brian narrowed his eyes. We've already discussed this. The prenup is clear. You get the house and monthly payments. That's more than fair, considering. Considering what? Considering you did nothing to help me succeed, he said, his usual charm slipping away. I built everything, Martha, my career, my reputation. Your lies. The word escaped before I could stop it. Brian froze. What did you just say? I took a deep breath. Stay calm. Don't let him know what you've done. Nothing, I said quickly, just thinking about how things turned out. He watched me for a moment, then nodded. Sign the papers, Martha. Let's move on. I picked up the pen, keeping my hands steady. You're right. It's time to move on. One by one, I signed each page. Brian looked pleased, certain he had won. He thought he was walking away free, just like he had from all the people he scammed. Perfect, he said, grabbing the documents. I'll have my lawyer file these today. Take a few days to pack. I'm not heartless. He straightened his expensive tie, looking as confident as ever. Oh, and Martha, he added with a smirk, this is for the best. You know you were never built for my kind of life. I waited until I heard his car drive away before making my call. Mike, I said, he signed, just like you said he would. Good, Mike replied, because we're ready. The FBI is very interested in what we found. Everything happened exactly as planned. While Brian sat in his office, thinking he had gotten away clean, federal agents were raiding his properties, his office, storage units, even a secret apartment under a fake business name. I was sitting in the living room when I heard cars pull into the driveway. Through the window, I watched Brian step out of his BMW, only to be met by FBI agents. His face, when they showed their badges, was something I'll never forget. Brian Walker, one of them said, "We have some questions about your business practices." Brian looked up at the house. Our eyes met through the window, and in that moment, I saw the moment Brian realized the truth. His perfect world was falling apart. I held up the old laptop so he could see it. Everything happened quickly after that. The evidence wasn't just on the laptop, it was everywhere. Once Mike and his team knew where to look, they uncovered the full extent of Brian's crimes. His entire career had been a lie, built on fraud. Each scam had funded the next until it all came crashing down. Within weeks, the news spread everywhere. Prospective financial advisor arrested for fraud. One by one, former clients came forward, sharing how he had tricked them. The man who once had a shining reputation was exposed as nothing more than a con artist. Then Gloria called, my former best friend. She was crying. "Martha, I'm so sorry. I should have believed you." I stayed quiet for a moment, then simply said, "Yes, you should have." I didn't tell her about the laptop, or how I helped bring Brian down. Let her think it was luck, or karma. Some friendships can't be fixed. 6 months later, I sat in court as Brian was sentenced. He pleaded guilty, hoping for a lighter punishment, but the judge didn't go easy on him. 20 years in prison. And he had to repay his victims. Without his expensive suits and fake confidence, he looked different, smaller, weaker. As they took him away, he looked at me one last time. I met his eyes, remembering all the times he had dismissed me, made me feel unimportant. In the end, the quiet, nerdy girl he once underestimated had destroyed everything he built. Outside the courthouse, Mike found me. "You okay?" he asked. I thought about it. My 15-year marriage had been a lie. My husband was a criminal. Most of my friends had believed his lies and turned against me. But I was free. Free from his control. Free from always feeling like I wasn't enough. Free to live my own life. "Yeah," I said. "I think I am." A week later, I sold the house. Every dollar from it, along with everything Brian and I had owned, went to his victims. I kept only what was mine, what I had earned. I found a small apartment near the tech company where I just started my new job as head of cybersecurity. The irony wasn't lost on me. Brian always thought his financial skills made him smarter than me. But in the end, it was my computer skills that exposed everything. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that old laptop in the attic, how close I came to throwing it away. One small choice had changed my entire life. But more than anything, I think about what I learned. The truth always finds a way to survive. Brian spent 15 years carefully hiding his lies. But he forgot something important. Nothing ever really disappears in the digital world. Not files, not fraud, and definitely not the truth. I still have the laptop cleaned up and restored. Not because I need it. The FBI has all the evidence now. I keep it as a reminder that justice doesn't always come in loud, dramatic moments. Sometimes it comes from patience, from looking deeper when no one else does. Brian underestimated me. He thought I was just his quiet, obedient wife, someone who would never question him. He never realized the truth. The quiet ones, we see everything. We wait. And when the time is right, we find what others think is gone.